What is up, guys? Back PCP coming at you again. MOA Monday. It's going to be an interesting one this time. Before we get into the actual content of this video, I want to share a story with you guys. Now, about a year ago, I was staying in a different house than I'm currently staying, different city than I'm currently staying, different place. Completely different environment. Where I stay now, there's about 25,000 people in the city. Where I was staying previously, about 150,000 people in the city. So a much larger urban environment. Higher rate of crime, higher rate of violent crime, higher rate of break-ins, things of that nature. Having said all those things, I was in a position of saving for my first home, so I wasn't in the position of living on my own. I lived with someone else who actually had stipulated, hey, you know what? We're not comfortable having firearms in our house, but you can have your air guns. It's not going to be a problem with us. Just no actual firearms, based on the fact that someone else within the house was a felon. During the time that I lived in this specific living situation, there actually was an incident of home invasion. Believe it or not, during the night while we were all asleep one summer evening, about actually 12 months ago now. Last summer we used to sleep with the screen door closed but the glass slider open in the living room, and someone had gone around the side yard into the backyard, found that point of entry, and come into the home through that back screen slider. Now, this person actually visually to me appeared to be a similar look as one of the people who was in the house. So when he physically opened up the door to mine and my wife's room, I was still like half asleep and kind of assumed it was someone else and told this guy, hey, get the fuck out of here, you know, just gut instinct response, like, why is my roommate bothering me in my house in my bed at 2 o'clock in the morning? My wife, she was a little bit more awake than I was. She immediately alerted me that that was not my roommate. You know, as soon as I had made the connection by what she had told me that that was not my roommate and that was potentially a hostile threat within my house, I jumped out of bed. I did not even stop to put clothes on. I was just in what I was wearing to bed that night. I was just in my boxers. I had my 25 cal Marauder sitting in the corner of the room. I grabbed a magazine off the desk and I looked at my wife once and I pushed the magazine into the gun. I opened my bedroom door and I looked to my right hand side down a very dark hallway, and I did not see anyone, so I again looked back once more at my wife, that being my main concern, and I started off gun in hand down my dark hallway. Honestly, it's the very first and only time that I've ever had to confront someone in that manner. It's the only time where I've ever been in the situation where I felt like lethal force was actually a justifiable option on the table potentially. Honestly, that hallway seemed like a very long walk to me that evening. Now, as soon as I turned the corner from the hallway to the entryway of my house, where the front door actually was stationed behind that, I see this guy. And he sees me at that point, standing there in my boxers with a shouldered rifle. Now, I'm not even going to try and attempt the way that I apparently yelled at this guy, but my wife says I sounded like a lion. You know, so there's no way I can recreate that without sounding like a buffoon at this point, because there's no, you know, trigger that would warrant that type of a response. But I told him, you need to leave now. I remember that was my verbiage. You need to leave now. And he let out an absolutely inhuman scream, melted to the floor as like a candle like this, and started reaching up for the deadbolt behind him. At that point, I knew there's no longer a lethal threat situation on the table, because I'm unwilling, whether it's an air gun or not, to shoot someone who's in a defensive position or running away or not in a threatening position or anything like that. Honestly, in my opinion, you should only be shooting someone if you are personally being attacked, or your family is being attacked, or you feel like that eventuality is very close at hand because they're going for a weapon or something. But honestly, there's no way that I was going to shoot a guy who was going for the lock to leave my house. Because what do I want at the end of this situation? I want this guy the hell out of my house without any casualties. Now, it was an intense situation for me. Like, even recalling it like this in great detail for the camera, like, it's an intense memory to recall. I can feel myself like getting a little bit worked up. You know, it's a good thing to relive and kind of like think about, you know, if I had needed to pull the trigger that night, what if I had missed? People always play the game, well, if you miss with a firearm in a home invasion situation, will it kill your neighbor's kid, right? So how many walls does it take for your 25 caliber Marauder to be separated from little Johnny for little Johnny not to be a liability in your home invasion situation? Today we're going to be taking a look at exactly what it means to answer that question. I've got 3 calibers of air guns that are all considered Magnum in their class as far as power is concerned. 177, 22, and 25. The 177 shoots about 1,000 feet per second, 22 caliber shoots about 1,000 feet per second, and the 25 caliber is in that 900 to 920 foot per second range. We're going to go ahead and create some walls today, and we're going to see exactly how many 2x6 frame sheetrocked walls would little Johnny need to be separated from your shot to be safe if you missed your target. Let's get it, guys. Alright guys, here we go. Very first test in line we have is the 25 caliber Marauder. This is the rifle that I actually had in my hands the night of that incident. So that's the very first one that we'll go ahead and put to the test. We're going to go ahead and see how many walls, how many residential style walls in this model a 25 caliber Marauder pellet would actually go through. Now this gun's rated at about 40 foot-pounds. So let's go ahead and see what happens, guys. Currently have some nice Copa Spikes Kugels loaded up. These are the 25 caliber copper coated ones that I reviewed earlier in the channel. 25 caliber Marauder, fire. Okay guys, visually on my end, that was spectacular. That was way more energy visually than I actually expected. That's probably going to look really cool on the highest speed. I have it being shot currently at about 240 frames per second on the other camera, so that should look really cool for you guys. Let's take a look. As you can see, nice clean 25 cal hole in the first one. Pretty ragged 25 cal hole on the exit there. Clean punched hole in the next one. Same ragged style exit here. Once again, punching in nice and cleanly into this. This would be the third simulated wall here. Oh, now look at that, guys. Look at that. If you see that depression right there on the back side, I believe that's where our pellet's going to be found. Oh, there it is right there. Let's zoom in, guys. I'm actually pretty surprised, guys. That means that little Johnny is going to need at least 3 walls between you and your missed pellet to be able to not be potentially hit by a stray round if you don't actually hit the person you were aiming at that was invading your home. Alright guys, we're set up for our second test here. The rifle that we'll be using at this point is the Hatz Invectus lever action 22 caliber PCP. It's about 1,000 foot per second PCP rifle. Now all 3 of these rifles are pretty much at the top of their class as far as power is concerned in their caliber. 25 caliber is right around 900 feet per second, coming in about 40 foot-pounds of energy. 22 cal is coming in right around 1,000 feet per second also, right around that 35-38 foot-pound range. And the third rifle that we'll be testing in 177 caliber is the Deanna Storm Rider Gen 2, also again at that 1,000 foot per second range. So you can pretty much guarantee that these are right around the top of their class for each specific caliber. I chose this because I wanted to make sure that no one said, hey, you know, no one's going to go after a bad guy with a pump master. Clearly no one's going to go after a bad guy with a pump master. But you know what? After seeing it go through 3 walls, they might go ahead and take a shot at a bad guy with a Marauder. Invectus 22. Fire. Now we did not make it through as far, guys. On this one, I can see visually that we have no entrance into this third wall here. So this guy right here with the failed to mention before, the Predator metal mags actually only penetrated through these two specific walls. Let's see if we can find it and dig it out. Okay, unfortunately, guys, it is fully embedded in that fourth piece of sheetrock there, and I'm unable to get it at this point without digging out, without disassembling the entire rig. So we're gonna go ahead and wait on that. Let's go ahead and grab the Deanna Storm Rider. All right, guys, we're winding down to the last rifle on our test today. It's gonna be the Deanna Storm Rider Gen 2 177 caliber. We're just gonna use standard Crossman pointed pellets because that's the most common pellet, I believe, in 177 caliber. A lot of people like to go with different things, but honestly, just at the end of the day, can't beat lead. Storm Rider Gen 2, fire. Okay, kind of an interesting result, guys. What ended up happening here is it looks like that round actually went through the first two walls no problem, and then might have struck the 2x6 in the third wall here, so I didn't actually get a true reading of what might have happened. Let's go ahead and aim slightly higher and take a second shot. Fire. Oh yeah, guys. Okay, that's what we were looking for right there. That's that definitive type of a result. When you take a look right there and you see the pellet physically embedded in the front of the sheetrock, you know for sure that's not the 2x6 stopping it, that's actually the sheetrock itself. So that's the type of result we're looking for, guys. Alright, guys, so that was a really cool test to me. Honestly, seeing that a 25 caliber pellet needs at least 2.5 walls to provide a level of safety, and if it doesn't tumble, potentially more, kind of a sobering fact. Having said that, I think you run the same liability with an air gun that you do with an actual gun, in the sense that you can't see 2 to 3 walls through your house to be able to see where your family members are. So if that round was to go through a wall, you might have a bad situation. Now, having said that, I was definitely at the range and the familiarity with that weapon system to where there is no way I would have missed at that distance with that target that night. There's no way, especially with my wife at the end of the hall. I think the big takeaway from this is an air gun absolutely can be a home defense weapon, especially based on the fact that the repeatability of the shot is there now with modern air guns. The power is there, the caliber is there. You're not really looking to stop anybody with a 4.5 millimeter round. A 6.35 millimeter round, you got a better shot. On the big end of it, it's also definitely going to penetrate less walls than a firearm would in the same situation. America's weapon of choice seems to be the Call of Duty Black Gun AR-15 style weapon. You gotta ask yourself, how far is that 223 gonna end up going if you don't hit your target? Even if you did hit your target, I mean, realistically, that's a super high velocity round, and if that's the favored one that people are gonna go to, you gotta ask yourself, what's the collateral damage if you miss? Air guns, definitely not on the same level of liability that the firearms are, for sure. Having said that, I definitely believe in treating any air gun as if it were a firearm. So that point that I made about grabbing my magazine off my desk, that's an actual fact, because I don't leave my guns loaded and I don't leave my air guns loaded. I definitely practice not only in my own life, but I also recommend to you guys, don't keep your guns loaded. That's just asking for trouble. So whether it's an air gun or a firearm, practice your gun safety, practice your common sense. You know, just leave a mag on a desk, but don't leave it in the breech, right? Final point that I'd like to make about defending your home with an air gun, I would say whether it's an air gun or a firearm, typically the only ammunition that you're going to be fighting with is that which is in the gun when you start that battle. So if you have a shotgun, if you're going to be fighting with whatever 5 rounds you happen to have, if you have a 10-22, it's whatever, 16 rounds fit in the tube or 10 rounds fit in the mag or whatever it is the case may be. I would definitely, if I was going to continue to use an air gun for home defense, find the largest magazine with the highest power level, kind of balance those two things. That's one of the reasons why I like the 25 caliber stuff, because you still get 8 rounds in a magazine, but each round is about 40 foot-pounds, which is very significant. I mean, that's, roughly the equivalent to a low velocity 22 firearm. So it's definitely a significant power level. Alright guys, well if you've liked this MOA Monday, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe for more with that notifications button so you can stay current on what day of the week it is on the channel, when we got the live streams coming out and what we got going on as well. If you really like this content, make sure you share it so that somebody else can see it. As always, guys, shoot safe, and I'll catch you in the next one.